शुश्रूषो श्रद्दधानस्य वासुदेवकथारुचिः स्यान्महत्सेवया विप्रा पुण्यतीर्थनिषेवणात्. Start from here, where Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. What is that? Punya Tirtha Sevanam, meaning go to the sacred places, places of pilgrimage. Tirtha Yatra, this is the first step. Now here Tirtha Yatra is not like the way we do. How do we do? At least 6 places in a day. And you book a bus and then rush. Not that way. So in those days, this is one of the very important and very potent sadhana given for spiritual seekers. Visiting holy places. So when you visit a holy place, what are the things you must keep in mind? Number 1, find out why that place is holy. There will be some mahatmyam. Now don't worry whether that mahatmya is fake or real, etc. Don't worry about it. Whatever is said in the scriptures, just have faith. Because what is important is, when you go to that place, that bhavana should rise. Oh my God, this is the place where such and such Mahatma has meditated. Like for example, when you go to Dakshineshwar, that room where Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that cot, etc., where Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is to lie down. So when you see that cot, what do you see? You don't see a cot there. Cots are plentifully available, even in your own native place. When you go there, when you see that cot, what do you see? You see Ramakrishna there, isn't it? And all those love and respect and reverence for Ramakrishna and all those stories which are there in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. How Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to go to Samadhi in that place, and how those devotees used to dance around him, and all those instances. The moment you see that cot and the room, your heart is filled with that kinds of emotion, isn't it? Now what is happening? Your mind is getting purified. So whenever you read the mahatmyam of a place, the glory of a place, don't worry whether it is real or fake. Whatever is given in the scriptures, believe that it is true. Then what is the advantage? Advantage is your heart will be purified. Because the heart gets an opportunity to bring out all those noble emotions. But suppose you go as a historian. Let me find out. Let me take some samples and find out whether this really existed or not. Then you are missing the point. The purpose will not be served. Neither you can prove or disprove that such an incident had taken place there. You can't prove or disprove. So the best thing is, if you are a spiritual seeker, have total faith and go to that holy place. So before going to the holy place, what you must do? What is the homework? The homework is collect all information. What all great things have happened in that place? Who are the Mahatmas who have lived? And who are the Mahatmas who are living? So this is Punya Tirtha Sevanam. And when you go there, don't go there just to be there and come back. Spend some time there. Spend some days there. In olden days, people used to go walking and they used to stay there for months together. So normally such Tirtha Kshetras will be near some river, in a forest, etc. Very, very conducive for all kinds of spiritual sadhanas. So when they go there, what do they do? What you have to do is, normally in such Tirtha Kshetras, there will be lot of Mahatmas, great saints and sages. In olden days, it used to be the case. So therefore, we have to see in that light. So in olden days, all saints and sages, they used to stay where? In such Tirtha Kshetras, not in metropolitan cities, etc. So in such places they used to stay. So whenever you want to have satsang with Mahatmas, where you have to go? You have to go to such holy places. So after going there, what you are supposed to do? Next one, Mahat Sevaya. Second one. What you are supposed to do? Go and meet such saints and serve them. Be with them. Mahat Seva. So what happens when you do Mahat Seva? You get an opportunity to be with them. And when you are being with them, what happens to you? Naturally, you start seeing how these people live. And how do they live? They live a life of contentment, absolute joy, absolute peace, lot of devotion, lot of dispassion, lot of love, lot of humility, all these virtues you start seeing in that person, isn't it? And the wonder is, they don't have anything with them. Very, very poor. With respect to the material riches, they are very poor, but at the same time you find embodiments of divinities in them. Because you have seen worldly people also. You have seen worldly people, how selfish they are, how narrow-minded they are, and the moment you come here, you see totally a different species. Totally different, selfless, loving, compassionate, merciful. So slowly when you start associating with them, slowly they become your role models. This is how I want my life to be. Now how did those Mahatmas attain that state? They attain that state because of their regular meditation, regular sadhana. As you keep doing regular sadhana, your personality becomes very, very sweet. That is how they have become Mahatmas. So when you are associated with such sweet personalities, what happens to you? You start adoring them. You start revering them, respecting them. Then what happens? Next term, Shushrushaha. You earn to listen to them. You become very much desirous to listen to them. Those people whom you love, whom you respect very much, revere very much, you always want to listen to them. Yes or no? Yes. You wait for them to speak. This is the biggest mistake which parents do. They give lot of advice to their children, but the children are in no mood to listen. Why? Because they don't respect their parents. Simple. Why don't they respect their parents? Because that is how they live. Life of indulgence, life of compromise, loose living, no values, nothing. How can the children have respect and reverence for their parents? And if they don't have respect, why should the children listen to their parents? Isn't it? These are all psychology. What kind of impression the parents have left in the minds of the children, accordingly children will respond. If the parents are not living a life of values, remember, children will not value parents. How much ever valuables parents may give them. Values are different from valuables. Many parents think, let me give whatever my child wants. That is not the way. Pampering alone will not earn that respect and reverence from children. No. When you live a life of values, people who are associated with you, they will be inspired by you. So now what happens here? Now you are doing Mahat Seva, you are in association with the saints and sages, slowly they become your role model. And then you want to listen to them. And whatever they say, whatever advice they give, what will be your attitude? Shraddha dhanaha. You will have total faith in them. Yes, if this Mahatma has said it, it must be true. I don't know, but it must be true. In my experience, it has not come, but it must be true. If they say God exists, definitely God exists. If they say God can be experienced, definitely God can be experienced. You see? Though you don't know, but you develop a kind of faith. Why do you develop that faith? You develop that faith because you have faith in that person. You love that person, you revere that person. Now, what kind of upadeshas will these Mahatmas give? Definitely, they will direct your attention towards God. This is what a Mahatma will do. They will discourage all kinds of indulgence in pleasures and they will encourage you to turn your attention to God. Isn't it? How will they turn your attention to God? By telling kathas of God. So the next term comes Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi. You start developing taste for the kathas of the Lord. The main purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is direct the attention of the seeker through stories. Through stories of the Lord. We don't say stories of the Lord, we say leelas of the Lord. Sportive actions of the Lord. What is the difference between story and leela? There is a difference. After listening to the leela, your love for God increases one step further. A mere story may not do so. Story can be different types, but leelas are different. And Bhagavan's avatar, they are all called leelas because it is a sport for him. It is not samsara like us. For us, every moment is suffering. misery. But for Bhagavan, every moment is a sport. Even dropping of the body is also a sport for him. Isn't it? Therefore, it is called Leela. So now, these Mahatmas, what do? They do Vasudeva Katha. And what is the essence of any Katha? If you can summarize the essence of any Katha, this is what will happen in every Katha. There is a devotee who is in extreme distress. He tries to get rid of all these problems by so many means. Maybe through wealth, with influence, with relation, with this, that, etc. And he is not able to come out. And ultimately, out of helplessness, out of total surrender, he turns to God. Bhagavan, trahimam, prahimam. Save me, trahimam, pahimam. Protect me. And what happens? Suddenly, blessing, grace descends. And the problem is solved. Yes or no? This is the essence of every Katha. This person is trying to solve his problem by his own ways. He is not able to solve. And as a last refuge, probably without faith, he turns to God. Because there is no other way. And there he gets appropriate response, by which he is able to overcome his difficulties. This is the essence of every Katha. So when you listen to Katha, what happens to you? You are able to relate yourself to that Katha. Because there is one character who is suffering, you are able to relate. This is me. Because there is not a single person who is not suffering in this world. Reasons can be many, but every moment we are experiencing our limitation. We are trying to overcome our limitation. We are trying to get rid of our problems, our suffering. So when you listen to this story, you are able to relate to it. Because there is a character which actually resembles your character. And now he has come out by grace of God. So naturally, what will be your tendency? When you continuously do Katha Shravanam, you start applying it in your life. And how do you apply it in your life? Whenever you are in distress, your mind will turn to God. When you are with samsaris, your mind will not turn to God. Your mind will turn to samsara only, some means of samsara. But when you are in association with the devotees, your mind slowly develops this habit. Because he has done a lot of Katha Shravanam, mind develops the habit of turning towards God. And there he finds peace, he finds guidance, he finds solace, he finds comfort. And when he starts seeing results, what happens to his faith? The faith in God starts increasing. Love in God starts increasing. Slowly, the relationship with God becomes stronger and stronger. Are you able to relate one to the other? Relationship becoming stronger means what? From then onwards, whenever you are in trouble, you turn towards God and you start experiencing His guidance. Where is God seated? In your own heart. And what will that God do? Remember, once you have developed this relationship, Bhagavan starts feeling that now this devotee is mine. Then he takes the responsibility. Initiative, who has to take? The devotee has to take. But once you have taken the initiative, once you have said, Bhagavan, I am yours. Now, whose responsibility it is to protect the devotee? It becomes Bhagavan's responsibility. He also starts responding in the same coin. Then the next one comes. What is the next one? Shrunvatam swakatham Krishna punyashravana kirtanah hridyantastohya bhadrani vidhunoti suhrit satam. Bhagavan is called Satam Suhrit. Satam Suhrit means what? Friend of all noble-hearted people. Satam Suhrit. He is a friend. He is a well-wisher of all devotees. So what does he do? Now that the devotee he has started invoking his presence, he has developed a relationship. Now Bhagavan starts doing the rest. What is his job? Hridi antastaha abhadrani vidhunoti. He starts washing clean all the dirts of the mind. mind is filled with impurity, filled with dirt, what does Bhagavan do now? Now that the devotee has allowed Bhagavan entry into his heart, till now entry was prohibited. As long as you don't invoke God, for him entry is prohibited, isn't it? That is why in Bhagavad Gita always we find there is one clause. What is the clause? Seek me, then I will do the rest. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender unto me. That is the first condition. Who has to do? Bhakta has to do. Rest I will take care. What is that? Aham tva sarva papebhyo moksheshyami mashuchah. Name bhaktah pranashyati. Bhaktah na pranashyati. That's the condition. Others, definitely. Meaning what? Once you have become a bhakta, once you have sought the guidance from God, he has to come. So what will you do? Hridi antastaha abhadrani. Abhadrani means inauspicious things in the heart, all the impurities, he starts cleaning it. And then what happens? Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishthiki. Slowly, as that heart becomes pure, that devotion becomes abiding devotion, strong devotion. As the mind becomes more and more pure, you get naishtiki bhakti, abiding bhakti, strong bhakti, firm bhakti, avyabhicharini bhakti in terms of Bhagavad Gita. So now there is a big responsibility which lands upon the shoulder of the devotee. What is the responsibility? Once you have developed this relationship, he has to live a life in such a way that it will please God. This is the big responsibility of a devotee. My relationship with God will remain intact so long as I live a life pleasing God. My action must be such that it pleases God. My thoughts must be such that it pleases God. So now what becomes the only concern for a devotee? The only concern is, Bhagavan, are you pleased with me or not? I am not worried about results of my action. I don't care about karma phala. I care about only one thing. Are you happy with me? Whatever I have done, was it wrong? Was it right? Did it please you? Because for you, now this relationship becomes very, very important. And once you find that you have done something out of your own strong negative vasanas, you have done something, you have compromised somewhere, then you start becoming miserable. Because when you look within, you find that the relationship is strained. Bhagavan says, my guidance is available. My support is available. My strength, everything is available, provided you live a life according to my will, according to my wish. Don't live a life according to your vasanas. Live a life in order to please me. Now this is a big responsibility upon the devotee. Because there are so many vasanas in us which will force us to do something wrong. But at the same time we know that Bhagavan doesn't like it. But then out of compulsion we do. And then when we look within, we find that this relationship is broken. And then the condition of that bhakta is like fish out of water. Miserable. And from that misery, he learns one great lesson. What is that lesson? In order to maintain this relationship, I have to be very, 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 very alert. So slowly what happens? This devotee's life becomes a life of alertness. A life of purity. A life of constant remembrance. And then comes this naishtiki bhakti. It takes time. In the beginning, he attracts you by giving whatever you want, by taking you out of problems. But once your attention is turned to him, so in the beginning, he allows your faith to develop. And once it has developed to a good extent, then he starts imposing conditions. Are you able to follow it? Naishtiki bhakti. Now you cannot be immoral. Because now you have tasted the higher joys of devotion, you don't want to miss that joy. You don't want to miss that love which you are receiving from God. You are ready to pay any price for it. Sense pleasures no more attract you because this has become the prime importance for you. And once that stage has reached, you have reached that state of Naishtiki Bhakti. And then what happens? Tada rajastamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye cheta etairana vidham sthitam sattve prasidati. And once that kind of love develops in your heart, tada rajaha tamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye. These are the negativities born out of rajas and tamas. All negativities, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, they are born from rajas and tamas. So now that mind becomes etaihi anavidham, free from rajas and tamas. And therefore free from all impurities. Now there is only one bhava or one guna. What is that guna? Sthitam sattve prasidati. Mind is filled with sattva guna. Rajas and tamas is totally washed away. Mind abides in sattva guna. And then what happens? Evam prasanna manasah bhagavat bhakti yogatah bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. And now what is the condition of your mind? Your mind is pure. And therefore prasanna manasaha. Prasanna manasaha means what? Cheerful. Because of this Bhagavad Bhakti, in that peaceful, cheerful, quiet mind, what happens? Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Jayate. This knowledge of the truth regarding God is born. So what kind of mind can only receive this knowledge, spiritual knowledge? A mind which is enriched with Sattva Guna. And that Sattva Guna comes due to Bhakti. Now this link has to be understood. Once the heart is filled with Bhakti, it ever remains in Sattvic state. Once that mind is in Sattvic state, it is capable of receiving the knowledge regarding the highest reality. And then what happens? Bhidyate hridaya grandhihi chidyante sarva samshayah kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishware. A similar verse is found in Kathopanishad. Bhidyate hridaya grandhihi. Hridaya grandhi, the knots of the heart, bhidyate, they are cut asunder. Chidyante sarva samshayaha, all samshayas, doubts, what happens? They are dispelled. Kshiyante chasya karmani, all your karmas, sanchita karma, agami karma, everything, kshiyante, they are reduced to naught, they become weakened. Drishta evatmanishware, when you see that Lord in your own self. Therefore, ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadani. So therefore all the wise people, what do? Nityam, every day, every moment, what do? This vasudeve bhagavati bhaktim kurvanti. They try to develop devotion for God through all their activities. So from where did we start? Tirtha Yatra. In Tirtha Yatra, what do? Associate with saints and sages. When you associate with saints and sages, what happens? You are inspired to live such a life. Then you have faith in their words. And then when you listen katha from them, you develop faith in that katha, and slowly you develop faith in God, and then you start developing relationship with God. And once you have started developing relationship with God, then God does the rest. Your job is to surrender unto God. And then ultimately what happens? That supreme truth, that supreme knowledge is bestowed unto you once the heart becomes pure.